The solution to racist pollution is revolution. Hello again, everyone. I'm Eli's dad with Project Eli, where we educate, lead, and inspire. And clearly, we are seeing a revolution happen right before our eyes, sparked by the incidents that took place in Minneapolis with George Floyd. And boy, this thing is just snowballing, and rightly so. It's time to get rid of that racist mindset and replace it with revolutionary, all men are created equal mindset. Now, we've seen this happen many times. Let me just point out one of the most recent ones, that a mindset has changed not only here in the United States like this, but also worldwide. And the most recent event, and even if you're not old enough to have lived through it, I'm sure you're familiar with 9/11 in 2001, when the World Trade Centers were attacked, and we had those the other planes going into Pennsylvania and the Pentagon. And at that particular moment in time, there was a mindset revolution, which is, hey, I felt safe going out of my house and walking someplace in the United States, going to a venue where there's an activity. But right now, I don't feel so safe. So right now, we are very much more security conscious on so many different levels, from the point of view of a terrorist attack, or another thing is identity theft. Years ago, hey, you need my social security number? Here it is. All right? Now, who gives out their social security number? You know, you make the person swear on a stack of Bibles, I'm not going to do anything, or you make sure that it's not going to go someplace where somebody can play games with it. So, I mean, there are certain scenarios in our lifetime where there have been some paradigm shifts, okay, and that's defined as an important change that happens when the usual way of thinking about or doing something is replaced by a new and different way. And we are at just such a crossroads right now. And I'm referring to be very specific about it, people talking about not necessarily eliminating the police, but greatly reducing what the police do. Now, as we spoke about on our last video, when we were talking about people where there's a paradigm shift in products, you know, like the internet when it first started, you know, wasn't all that popular, and then it grew and grew and grew, and now it's become a necessity, where what was once a luxury is now a necessity. Well, in terms of talking about the police, you're going to get, when there's a mindset, you get the same reaction numbers-wise. So what do I mean by that? Well, I'm an old guy, and old guys are comfortable with stuff that they're familiar with. All right? As a matter of fact, most people, you don't have to be old to have that particular posture, that particular mindset. Most people would rather suffer the misery of the pain they're going through than make a change hoping that it's better, because what's known to somebody is, at least I understand it, than making a change. I don't know what's going to happen, even if it can be for the better. You know, that's, you know, one of the basic mindsets that we talk about here on Project Eli all the time, is that you got to get out of that comfort zone and you got to move forward. But let's get to this particular point. Now, what's going to happen is there's going to be a certain number of people, and I would say, you know, if you use the yardstick of products, and it's probably pretty close. I don't have any documentation on this, but if you know, kids are going to, you know, and revolutions like this always start with the young people. Always start with the young people. I mean, you should have seen the protests, Eli, in the 60s and early part of the 70s, when the Vietnam War was going on. The protesters were, for the most part, young people, and then other people started to get on that particular bandwagon until it became the mainstream, and policy was forced to change because more people said, hey, this isn't right, versus saying, my country right or wrong, they're saying, you know what, this time we're wrong, so we need to make some changes here. But, as far as this is going to be concerned, there's going to be a certain number of people, a small percentage, that are going to say, we need to get rid of the police department right now. Now, my first gut reaction is, and this isn't the final reaction, but this is the initial reaction, is, what are we going to do without police? My God, if something happens, I need to be able to pick up the phone, call 911, and know that there's going to be someone on the other end that's going to be in a position where I can get some help. That's my initial reaction. All right, well, I'm a little bit more mature now, seasoned is the word I prefer, and gone through a few things in life. And so now I take a different posture with this. My posture now is, all right, if you want to eliminate or reduce or minimize police presence, we're still going to have some of the same issues, most of the same issues. What are you going to put in its place? So you don't want to be locked into something just because that's the way it's always been done. I don't personally see how they're going to do it. If somebody's in a, having a mental, not attack, but having some mental issues in a particular place, they call the police, or maybe they'll call some other department that specializes in that particular area to work with that person. But it's difficult for someone like me to visualize what's going to be replacing what the police typically do for us, and which doesn't mean I'm not ready to listen. So initially what you're going to have is you'll have somewhere like 10 or 15% will be the diehards, the people in the streets, the people carrying the signs, the people that are yelling, screaming, all right? And that's their right to do, and they're welcome to do it. I mean, that's what this country's all about, is the ability to do that. And then you're going to have some people that are kind of like me that are going to say, all right, you want to change it? What are you going to do instead? What's the alternative? Where do we go from here? And then you're going to have the people that are the ones that are the get off of my lawn people that are going to say, hey, look, that's the system, that's the way it is. And always remember that the system is made up of individuals. Whatever the balance of behavior from the individuals is what makes a system. So what we're really looking to do is to change behavior. And what is the key to changing behavior? You're watching it right now, history in the making, right in front of your eyes. And let me tell you what it is. It's one word. It's the word empathy. It's the ability to understand and share the feelings of another. This video, this 8 minutes and 46 seconds of terror has just moved people because they can understand and share the feelings of what it would be like, and say, that could have been me. That could have been me that was happening to. And when people have that empathy, that is the point in time when we start to have cultural changes. And right now, cultural change is sweeping America and maybe even the world, because they can feel what George Floyd felt. They can't feel it exactly, but they can feel the wrongness of that particular act, how there was no excuse for that particular act. And this is a crossroads. This is a crossroads. And it's clear to me that the man in the, let's see, what do we call it? Oh yeah, the Oval Office has some empathy issues. He can't feel what America is feeling. One of the things that was sort of a saying that you used to hear Bill Clinton say all the time was, I feel your pain, all right? And that's like expressing the empathy, expressing the feeling, and a leader needs to not just say that, but to actually feel that empathy. And when you're in that office, you have to bring yourself down from the ivory tower and get down there with the masses so you can feel what the masses are feeling, especially when they're screaming it in your face every day for 3 consecutive weeks, and the demonstrations are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And the point about it, let's just take the football scenario. All right, now, and I want to say something about the owners of the football as well. First of all, a couple of years ago, they decided, you know what, we can't have the helmet-to-helmet hits. That's, too violent, too physical, it causes too much brain damage. But you know what, right at that same time when they were saying that, when they changed the rules, was also the time that the ratings were starting to go downhill for them. And they could see that mommies of the future were not going to let their sons play football. Why? Well, you have a helmet-to-helmet hit, causes major brain damage. I don't think so, son. You'll have to do, maybe you go play soccer or something else, but not football. So the owners saw that coming. They're billionaires. They have vision. They look into the future, and they said, you know what? We got to stop this now because we want to keep that market growing because we're interested in, guess what, making money. And now what they've done is they've had their commissioner come out and say, hey, we were wrong about protesting, giving a knee during the national anthem. Notice the owners haven't really come out. The commissioner has come out, and the commissioner is essentially a figurehead for these guys. He wouldn't come out and say something like that unless he had the approval of the other owners. My thought is they suggested, why don't we give this, why don't we, throw that line in the water and see what happens, see if we can catch any fish with it. Let's see what kind of a reaction we get when we say that. And so they're trying to decide where they want to sit on this issue based upon what's going to be best for their individual pocketbooks. Because he's a $40 million figurehead a year, certainly a well-paid figurehead, but he's not the guy that's running stuff. It's the owners that are the guys that are running the stuff there. And he wouldn't be in a position to say that, because if that's not what they wanted, he'd be gone in a New York minute. So clearly there was like a fishing line thrown in the water. So the point is, here we are, in that the president has missed. He doesn't get it. He doesn't get it. The thing with the knee, the thing with protesting during the national anthem is not to disrespect the flag, is not to disrespect the people in the military, not to disrespect the people that protect our country. It's designed to do one thing and one thing only, and it is to say, hey, look, there's injustices going on. That's what I'm saying. And so it's convenient from a political perspective for this president with his base of support to say, oh, they're denigrating the American flag. We can't have that. He's missing the point. He's not getting it. And as more and more of America gets it, that there's injustice going on, that's why we're singing out, that's why we're taking a knee, then the paradigm shift will start to change as that gets to a point where it's no longer somewhat of a luxury for black people to be treated equally or people of color to be treated equally, but it's a necessity, because that's the mindset, that's the paradigm shift. And we are right in the middle of it right now, so I hope all you young people and everyone else out there realizes that we are at a major crossroads in American history. And because we will never change, we will never end a meeting. Of course we're going to change. We'll never end a meeting on a philosophical note. Let's all get out there and charge! I'm Eli's dad.